welcome to my channel. My name is Emmy from Emmy Evolving. If this is your first time joining me, thank you for finding me. If this is not your first time, thank you for coming back. So, real quick, I want to remind you guys that I have workshops coming up. And if you'd like to learn how to work your energy in the way that I do, or if you'd like to learn more about your energetic field, you'd like to learn more about the best way to achieve optimal energetic health and how to address some of the dark circumstance yourself. These workshops are amazing opportunities. Go to k33academy.com/store and you'll be able to see everything that I have offered right now. So, yes. I asked what this reading was going to be about, and what I heard is confused but not defeated. Chin up, Buttercup. Chin up, Buttercup. So, there's a lot of things going on for a lot of people, right? It's probably challenging for most of us. I know for me. Excuse me. I see a lot of like old triggers coming up. I swear to God. Do you notice that whenever I'm about to talk about really important stuff, there's all of this disturbance? My goodness. My goodness. My goodness. All right. Here goes. Today is just a weird energy type day. It is. It's a very weird energy type day. I would describe it as frustrated but empowered, inspired. Like allowing your frustration to create movement, right? To create opportunities to begin actively seeking solutions and all sorts of stuff like that. So let's see where this reading takes us. Let's see where this. I'm making a commitment today to change, modify some of my behavior. Okay. It's going to be a process, but I happened, as I'm getting the cards ready, I'm going to tell you guys what happened. I happened to go on Facebook to set up the live stream for Facebook, and I saw the notification for my memories for today. Hi, Baba. Baba, I'm going to behave. I think I need to have daily conversations with Baba, or like, maybe little pep talks 3 times a week to keep me on track with behaving. I can't misbehave when Baba is in the equation. I just have too much respect and cherishment for Baba. I'm genuinely, I can't misbehave. But what I'm saying is, I was on Facebook and there were some memories, that popped up, and to hold myself accountable, I'm going to show you guys one of the memories. And it's like, girl, why you behave that way? Why you write that? Right? So let me see where it is. Oh, of course I would hide it for today. That's fine. I'm just going to go in my memories. There. I'm going to show this to you guys because I got to hold myself accountable for this. This was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, right? Like, to me, it's funny, but girl, you can't behave that way. Someone wrote, I think there's some vodka in your coconut water. And I wrote, stop it. Do not behave that way anymore. Do not mirror. I'm talking to myself and to everyone. Do not mirror other people's ugly behaviors. Okay. Not sure what I was going through that day, but it's not an excuse. It's not an excuse, right? It's a learning opportunity if we allow ourselves to learn. Okay. So it is kind of funny, but still, it's girl, stop behaving that way. Because I've been so controlled for so long that I kind of feel like, I just got to match people's energies at this point. I'm sick of it. No, it's not okay. I'm talking to myself at this point. Here. Since Lisa couldn't see it, there. Mhm. No bueno. Bad, bad behavior. So that's going to be changing, hopefully. I think Baba should be texting me like, "Hi, where are we today?" Because I would so behave. I'm not even joking. Maybe even like Mama Martin should probably like, ooh, I would so behave. I would so behave. Okay, so let's look. I know it's funny, but it's bad behavior. It's really bad behavior. Okay. Confused but not defeated, right? So what's happening is we've been immersed in such an upside down ethos that, like I was just saying, you can only be like the bigger person for so long. You can only be quiet and hold your tongue for so long before it just kind of like projectile. Projectile. We don't want to get to that point. So, this is the point where you begin to really, really just, okay, what are we doing here? Where are we within ourselves? What is going on? What is causing the frustration? Is it something outside of us? Is it something inside of us? Like, what is it? That self awareness is so powerful. It can take you to the next level of what you need to do and where you need to be, right? So there are certain things where, we need to be who we are, but we also need to be aware of who we are being in the environment that we're in and what our objective actually is. Okay. So there's a time and a place for all sorts of different behaviors that exist within you. And this is not about not being you, because Robert over here, don't behave, be you. There's a time and a place for me to be joking around, and a time and a place for me to be serious, providing, really powerful messages that hopefully will help to inspire you to begin that internal work, right? So there's definitely a time and a place for all of that. And part of being um, an adult, an adult soul, not just staying within the infancy period of your soul, is learning to discern when it's time to speak up and maybe allow more of that aggressive communication out, when it's time to just joke around, when it's time to be very somber and proper and all of these other things, right? So it's about really learning what your frustration is causing you to choose to be at any given moment. I think for many of us, we've been having so much unrecognized frustration and not realizing how it affects the way we exist within the environment that we are existing in, that it becomes almost like a self-sabotage type of cycle, right? So again, I want to really emphasize it's not about not being who you are anymore and playing along and being, a Stepford soul and letting other people dictate to you who you are, and no, it's about recognizing what objective are you trying to fulfill, right? So part of the self-healing, using that as an example, if part of your trauma response is being reactive, combative, mirroring other people's very toxic behaviors, like matching their toxicity, then that's not going to help you to heal, because that brings you right back to the same space that you have continued to exist in, hurting, unseen by your own eyes, unheard by your own ears, not loved in such a way by yourself that you can begin healing beyond just being nothing but a living trauma response, right? I'm recognizing a lot of these things. I've gone through multiple cycles of this intentional self-awareness, and then I've reverted, and then I've done it again, and then I've reverted. And there's no point in like attacking yourself, blaming yourself, being disappointed in yourself. It's about recognizing that each time I enter into this cycle of correcting the things that are imbalanced within me, I make a little bit more progress. I don't revert as far. And when I do revert, I don't stay there as long as I have in the past, right? So this is a very powerful period that we're entering into, and it's really up to us how we're going to use this period. And I will say, there will be those who are cloaked, right? They're concealing their actual purpose in your life right now, in your journey. So those are the people who are probably in your life, excuse me, a part of your journey, so that they can trigger this self awareness. They can present to you the opportunities to be triggered in that way so that you can choose to react, respond um, differently. Okay. There's no point in learning something if you're not going to actively apply it. So, with that said, once you learn something through awareness, your higher self will go ahead and give you the opportunity to actually apply what you've learned. That's how it works. Because if life is a classroom, I mean, what happens in a classroom? When you learn the lesson and you're done with all of the learning for that specific subject, your teacher will hand you a quiz. Your teacher will hand you a test. And that's how you're able to quantify how deeply you have learned and mastered the concept that was presented during that subject. That's just how things are, right? That is how things are. And it's about really maximizing these opportunities, allowing yourself to see what opportunities are being presented to you by life, allowing yourself to see the ways in which maybe you've been dragging your feet through certain processes. Um, Maybe you've been reverting back to a space of trauma response where, like for me, let's use this as an example. When there's a goal being set, I become very dominant in that because I can figure out how to get to the end result in a way that's unconventional but extremely efficient and still full of integrity, right? It's not about getting to the end goal and using whoever, right? So when I am presented with a project, presented with a task, I then sometimes, oftentimes, I will revert back to a trauma response of, well, I don't want to be bossy. I don't, because I can get bossy. I can become very, very driven and very hyper fixated on achieving the end goal that I block everything else out, and that this is all I'm going to achieve. But I've been able to achieve tremendous things that most people don't think anyone could ever achieve in a very short period because of this ability, right? But what's the difference between an ability and a disability? Ooh, what's the difference between the two? Ooh. Let's see, hold on. Meaning prefix dis. This is a negative prefix. It means not or none. When we add dis to the beginning of a word, we give it the opposite meaning. Ooh. Woohoo. Mm-hmm. Yep. In Latin, dis meant away from or apart, Dis also derives from the similar bis with a B of Greek origins meaning two or divided in two. So an ability becomes a disability when you allow yourself and your drive to divide you from the group. So my trauma response creates a disability of an existing ability because then I'm dividing myself from the group. I'm not stepping into the proper role that I need to be in, that I was designed to be in order to very harmoniously achieve the goal at hand. There's been a lot of deep introspection this morning at the gym. A lot of deep introspection this morning. It's about taking responsibility regarding the way you affect your journey, the journey of others, the process that you're in, not recognizing where you are within your trauma, within your healing journey, within all of these different aspects of yourself, your life, your connections. That creates a disability because you're separating yourself. I mean, sometimes it's necessary when it's healthy for you, right? When you're in a toxic environment and you separate yourself from that toxic environment, that is not a disability because it's not negative. It's something that empowers you, which is a positive. We can't allow what I say to be used to further our distorted perceptions of how we're incapable. You are very capable. And if you begin to become very, very aware of the ways in which, you know, your capabilities are not being properly and responsibly used, right? Because, like, responsibility. Then you begin to, if you're not aware of the irresponsible way you're using your capabilities, because I think most of you are highly intelligent. That's the general feel that I get, that you're highly intelligent and you've existed in such a way that has used your exceptional intelligence as a way to gaslight yourself into believing, um, manifesting a lot of the really effed up circumstance that further validates your insecurities. I do that a lot. I do that a lot. It's gotten a lot better, but I do still do that. Um, it's part of the process of growing, right? You know, as a toddler, if you had a lot of tantrums all the time because you struggled with dysregulation, did you just suddenly one day, like, I'm not having tantrums anymore? Or was it a tapering off of the dysregulation, the struggles with self regulation? One of my kids had struggles with self regulation as a toddler. Uh, Really difficult, right? Very, very difficult to regulate himself. I did not see it as pathology, disease. No, I saw it as an opportunity to provide additional support so that he could better understand what his body is telling him. So, as a very young toddler, when he gets very tired, oh, good God, he will run and do laps, be extremely hyperactive. And I began making it a point to, like, hey, come here, let me tell you something. And I would tell him, like, okay, do you see how your body feels right now? That's your body telling you that you're tired. And he at first he didn't really want to believe me, and I said, "Okay, so lay your head on the couch," which he didn't want to do. Heaven forbid you tell him to take a nap. No, he's not going to take a nap. So I would tell him, "Do me a favor. Lay your head on the couch. You can still stand up. Lay your head on the couch for 2 minutes with your eyes closed. And then let's see if that will help your body to calm down a little bit." Because he would say he has so much energy. And lo and behold, 30 seconds, a minute later, my little boo boo is snoring, standing up. Right? And after a while, he began to realize, like, oh, so my mom's not just trying to have fun while I'm asleep. Because that's not what nap time is. Nap time is when your body needs additional rest to grow, to repair, to recover. And he began to understand, like, I'm on your side. I'm on your side. There's nothing wrong with you. We're going to learn this together. Many of us don't have the luxury of that, right? Many parents don't have the luxury of being able to stay at home and be a single income household and do this for their children. So, this is not about blaming your parent for not being the parent you need or wanted, right? This is about recognizing that maybe some of the things you're struggling through right now are from childhood, still unresolved. It's perfect time now because you're an adult. You can resolve it. How did you know how to do that with your child, explaining it for him? Well, because he's a reflection of me and you're not going to tell me what to do. I'm serious. You're not going to tell me what to do. But if you can reason with me and help me to see from a different point of view, I will consider it. And as I consider it, I'm going to deeply consider it and try it out as long as I don't feel like you're forcing me. I will try it and then make a decision like, "Oh, that was beneficial," or "No, it wasn't." Right? And there were times where he didn't want to agree to put his head down for like 2 minutes. Because that's a long time for like a 2-year-old. It's a very long time. But I never yelled to do it. It was always like, try it and let's see what happens. Where he always had his autonomy intact, right? It wasn't very often that I would override his autonomy. It's only like if he's really out of control. Because there were times where he would get very, very hyperstimulated. And then I would need to be like, you need to sit in my lap and I need to give you a snug hug so that you can begin to quiet your senses. And they know I have sensory integration problems. So it's never a thing of like accusatory, you're the issue. It's, oh, I go through that too. Let me show you what helps me to calm down. And eventually, at first, he would fight me with, I would hug him and he would like, let me go. And I'm like, no, I get it. You're out of control right now. It's okay. You will get back in control. Just breathe to make it easier. The more you fight it, the more longer we're going to have to sit here to let your senses reset. How did you think take a minute and lay it down for him? I don't parent like other people. I've always just kind of been that parent where, for example, we were at a family gathering, and oh, I'll put your comment on the screen. We were at a family gathering, and all of the children, there were hella kids, like double-digit kids, mostly toddlers. And something happened. There were no adults in the room. They were in the living room. Everyone's in the kitchen. And something happened. One of the kids starts crying, and I was the closest to the living room they were in. And so I went into the room and I was like, okay. First, I hugged the kid that was crying. I was like, are you okay? And they were super upset still. And I was like, hey guys, what happened? And then all the other adults went in. They're like, what the hell is going on? And blah, blah, blah. I was like, you don't even know what happened. I don't know. I've just always been that kind of parent because I didn't have that. So I guess maybe that's it. I didn't have that, and so I wanted to provide what I didn't have for myself. I tell you guys, your childhood perfectly prepares you for what you need to be, for what you are designed, destined to be. And yeah, for a while, I felt like, that's not fair. Really just angry about my childhood. But then as I grew in my understanding of myself and how my childhood helped to cultivate these different aspects of me, I began to have an appreciation of everything that I've experienced, because really it's what's caused me to choose to be who I am today. You choose who you are. You absolutely choose who you are, right? And even with the way that I raise my children, I look at the sibling and family dynamics that existed between myself and my siblings and parents. So each one I see like based on their birth order, I see like, oh, this reminds me of this sibling and that sibling. And I was able to see, even as a child, what each of my siblings needed and the ways that deficiency in the supporting of that need, the nurturing of that need, um, affected them, right? So I know that if there isn't at least one human that a child can bond with, that really creates extremely elevated potentiality of the person becoming um, or having struggles with addiction, all sorts of different addictions. And so, when my child began to struggle with dysregulation, and I could see that, rather than being the frustrated parent, I decided, like, no, I'm actively going to negate that potentiality. I want you to bond with me. I want you to feel very, very safe with me, anchor into me as your mother, you know? Ooh. Hmm. Sorry, guys. I'm just very hormonal today. And the hormones have caused me to feel very overwhelmed. Overwhelmed. Not by anything negative, more by being reminded of how much I love my children. It's not easy being a parent because no matter how hard you try, children will always see different ways in which you should have done more, right? And it's this thing of children, whether they're your biological children or if you've just developed a very strong bond with someone else's child, um, they help you to see the ways in which you're learning and the way you approach your life can be improved. If you allow a child to do what the child is designed to do, they become the greatest teacher you will ever have in this life. You know? Yeah. It's a very beautiful thing. I think one of the greatest accomplishments I will ever have in this life is being their mom. That the label of mom and wife are the only two labels I will ever willingly allow to be placed upon me. Those two are the greatest honors. Yeah. Ooh, this right here. The first boy I helped raise was always going too fast to bond with anyone. That child, when someone goes too fast, it's a trauma response. If you're too fast, if everything is fast paced, what ends up happening is you don't have time to address the places where you hurt. Yeah. My child entered into this life with trauma. He almost died. Yeah. Part of the reason I have spent so much of my adult life delving into natural living, herbal remedies, and all sorts of different things, even the energetic work, is because of the effects of glyphosate on my children's lives. One child in particular almost died because of glyphosate exposure. It's a known thing. They've known for a very long time the effects, the type of birth defects that occur, the effects on a gestating fetus, all of those things. All of those things. They know. I didn't, though. And so my That one child in particular needed life-saving emergency surgery at only a couple days old. Intestinal malrotation is it's fatal. If not caught early, you lose the bowels. You lose your intestines. Yeah. So because of that, I always was more hyper aware of his internal circumstance. Very, very hyper aware, hypersensitive. And it's not that I love one child more than the other children. No, I love all my children intensely in very different ways because they're very different people. Very, very different. But yeah, it's Wolf Skull Splitter's birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. I thought you meant your birthday is tomorrow. You said it's the eve of your born day, right? Unless I read that wrong. Oh, this evening is my getting born anniversary. So I did read that wrong. I totally read that wrong. Thank you for letting me know. All right. So boundaries, right? The boundaries are important. The boundaries are very, very important. And those boundaries don't just protect you, but they help other people learn how to be worthy of remaining in your space, continuing to have access to you. Boundaries are so important. There are some spiritual teachings I'll be like, if you love someone, you don't have boundaries because those are limitations. Kindly stop with that toxicity, please. That is called martyrdom. That is a form of martyrdom. If you allow someone to treat you willy-nilly, then it taints and eventually distorts the connection, the relationship. Boundaries are healthy. When you take um when you take into consideration the way the boundaries help you to maintain healthy connections with people, and when you have healthy connections, that helps, it supports lifelong connections. Boundaries are healthy if they are within reason, if they are there to create healthy connections. There's nothing wrong with boundaries. Now, if your boundaries are walls that exist to protect you because you don't trust the world, that's a prison. Too much or too little of something is always unbalanced. Too much or too little of something is always unbalanced. And if the goal is to be balanced, you allow yourself to exist in the center point between too much and too little, giving yourself enough grace to move with flexibility between those two opposing polarities. Super important. And that's how you tap into more of your power. Okay. Wait, what? There's another birthday. It was Gaze's birthday as well. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Love it. Yeah, no, I love when you guys share that it's your birthday. It's good to celebrate each other, more than just Piscean birthdays, but any birthday. Celebrate yourself. Let us know so we can celebrate with you, right? Let us know so we can celebrate with you. Oh, you know what I should start? I should totally start this thing where if you are a newsletter subscriber, how would I do that? Maybe I should stop. I'm going to drive my husband crazy. Well, it's this thing of if you're a newsletter subscriber, you should automatically have, I don't know if it's capable. You should automatically have a birthday coupon. I'm saying it should. It should. Birthday coupon for the whole website. I'll have to figure out how to do that. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do half the stuff that I do on that website. I just start clicking things, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, ooh, how do I undo what I just did? How do I undo what I just did? Okay. So, with all of these different things that all of these different things that we go through, these things that we've just been told earlier in this live stream, these are all the ways in which we can begin welcoming, inviting prosperity into our life. You want to be prosperous, right? Notice how I said prosperous and not rich. Let's define prosperity. Condition of being successful or thriving. It can tie into economic well being, but it's a condition of being successful or thriving, right? That would be amazing to be able to thrive in whatever environment you're in. Not just have this goal of being rich, because I know quite a few rich people who are not happy with their life. My heart usually goes out to them because it's very common for people who have elevations in economic wealth, financial wealth, to struggle with are you a real friend or are you just using me? So it's kind of sad in that sense, right? You really truly can't buy happiness. But yeah, you know, yeah. Prosperity is a good thing, to be able to feel successful regardless of what you've accomplished or what you haven't accomplished is probably more a better way to say it. Regardless of what you have not yet accomplished, allowing yourself to feel successful, allowing yourself to have the permission to thrive wherever you're at in your journey. I have such a long way to go to get to the place that I know I'm supposed to be, right? But I'm happy in whatever process I go through to get to where I'm designed to exist. I feel successful. I have been successfully working through my trauma responses. I have successfully been working through my insecurities. You know, I'm still in the process, but I've been successful with everything that I've done so far. That's important to realize, right? I'm not a fully healed person yet. It might take me my whole life to get to that point where I realize, I'm healed. That's okay. I still have value. I still have something to offer, even without being fully healed. And the same applies for you. It absolutely applies for you. Okay. So, guardian in reverse. I'm wondering if for some of us, um, we're not going to have the hand holding, right? For some of us, this process is not going to involve hand holding. It's not going to involve someone being able to point out that I need to do this, that I need to do that. Um, you know, Oftentimes that happens because you need to be able to recognize, once you're done with the process you're in, just how much you've achieved. When other people are involved, we do have a tendency to give the other people the credit rather than ourselves, right? I mean, you don't need to toot your own horn, but what's bad about tooting it? That horn is there for a reason. Toot toot. Toot toot. Toot it. Just a little bit. Just a little toot. Just a little toot. Okay? You got to be, sometimes you got to be your own hype person, right? Especially when you feel low. Especially when you feel low. Oh my God, I got to share a petty ass story from the gym today. Hey, I'm already prefacing it with it's a petty ass story. So at the gym today, there was someone, I didn't want to work out first and foremost. Woke up late, didn't want to work out, was dragging butt the whole time. And then I noticed this person was looking over at me, and it was a weird type of vibe, not predatory, but a weird type of vibe. I don't wear rings when I go to the gym, so whatever. But my husband's always with me. And this person kept looking over. I'm just like, whatever. And the next thing you know, this person takes their hair out of a ponytail. It's a guy. Takes his hair out of his ponytail. He looks over. I got my own muscles to look at. I'm not impressed. And that's the thing. I had to toot my own horn. It had nothing to do with the guy. The guy was simply used as a way to get me into this space of like really looking at myself and the amount of progression that I've made over my body transformation. Sometimes tooting your own horn when you're feeling very low is how you get back into a space of recognizing, acknowledging, accepting how much progress you're making. It's important to do that because if you don't do that, if you always feel like everything you do is never enough, I mean, first, that's sad, very, very sad. Second, that really elevates the likelihood of you quitting on yourself. I wanted to give up on my workout today. But in that moment of petty, it was petty. Uh, that gave me enough push to just keep going. I did the entire workout. It was chest day, and my chest is the weakest part of me, right? And it's usually the part of me that's not able to lift too much. And today I lifted over 50,000 pounds. I think 53,000 something pounds. Yeah. I usually lift it like in the 40s, 40 something thousand for my chest days. But today, no, it was 53,000 something pounds. Yeah. All because I let myself toot my own horn silently in my head for a moment. Could you imagine that? I exceeded what I normally accomplish because it was just a little toot, toot. That was it. It wasn't like a um, honk honk, It was just a little toot, and I was able to do that for myself. That's good. It might not be as much as what other people can lift, but I'm not them. I'm not them. I'm me. That's all I can be is me. So I will celebrate my little accomplishments in whatever way is appropriate for me, right? It's okay for you to celebrate even the small accomplishments. I mean, it wasn't that much of an increase in what I normally do. I usually do like 46,000, 48,000, somewhere around there. So it's only like 5,000 more. Does that sound obnoxious? To me, that's not a big deal. 5,000 pounds, it's not a big deal. But now I'm realizing, well, maybe for someone else, that sounds like a huge amount. I don't know. For me, that's a small thing, but I'm going to celebrate it anyways. And I think that's what's important to realize. Everything is based on your perspective. My perspective, that's not a lot. Someone else's perspective, maybe someone who doesn't go to the gym, like, oh my God, 5,000 pounds? Eh, you know, it's not a lot, but it's still worth celebrating. Yeah, I use an app to count the pounds that I lift. That's how I know how much I've lifted. Like, I'll show you. I show you. Hold on. I show you. Look. Yes. Yes. Yeah. I did 28 exercises. 14 of those exercises I pushed myself, and I ended up lifting 1.4 Golden Gate bridges. I was talking to one of my twinnies, Twinnie Boo. That's what her name is gonna be. Twinnie Boo. I was I swear to God, we are so the same. So I was chatting with her, texting, and I was like, look what I did. This was the other day, and I showed her that I had lifted, I don't know, 90 something thousand pounds. And then it tells you like 15.2 elephants. And I was like, it's 15 elephants and one baby. And she goes, well, thank God it's a baby. That's much better than like a half eaten one or something. I was like, what the Oh my God, how are you so much like me? Because that's where my mind went, right? Like, oh my God, 15.2? Is that point to like, is that like a hacked off piece of elephant? We'll just call it a baby. So her mind went exactly where mine went. And that's how I know that is a twinny boo right there. Because she immediately responded, that, well, thank God. It's a baby and not a half eaten one. So, clearance, you're going to be clearing out a lot of the old stuff. It's time. It's time. I think that you have developed enough courage. I think that you maybe, you know what? Let's address that really quick. The courage. Maybe the courage comes from your frustration, right? Sometimes another negative emotion can be the very thing that puffs up the courage. So, say, you're sad, you've been very, very sad for so long, which a lot of people are. And now like you're pissed off because it's like, why can't you just be happy? Pissed off and sad are both negative feelings. Traditionally, they're both negative. And so that anger over your sadness is the very thing that tips the scales for you to be able to release some of that courage. And now, because you're so mad that you've been sad for so long, you're like going to go out of your way to do things that make you happy. Yes, do it. Do it. Do it. Let your anger be the very thing that causes you to be rebellious. Rebellious to the continuation of these cycles that have kept you trapped in spaces you no longer want to be in. Right? That rebelliousness is important. It can be used in such a way that gets you past the blockage that you've struggled to overcome. In 2015, 2016, I started my YouTube channel, the Emmy Evolving YouTube channel. And I uploaded maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 videos, and then I never went back. The whole time I had been being told, you need to be present on YouTube. I was afraid because I don't know. I don't know who's watching me. At least on Facebook, you can, if that's your friend, if your friend's on Facebook, you can see that they're watching you. It tells you. And so I stayed on Facebook because I was afraid. I was intimidated by being that exposed to the general public. And, so that was since 2016. Come end of 2018, the cyberbullying became just, I was done. I was done. I was just done. And I internally told myself, these mofos can keep the whole platform. I'm done. I'm going to YouTube. That's it. That frustration and anger overcame my insecurity about who's going to be watching me on YouTube. I don't know who's going to come on. It's all strangers. And wouldn't you know, that ended up being the very thing that caused me to blossom into who I actually am. Blossom in such a way that anyone in the public can see me as I am. And I've said to you guys before, if you think that what you see on a live stream is the type of Emmy you'll get in person, probably not. Depends on you. If I feel safe around you, then yeah. But if I don't know what your intention is, I feel weird, you're going to get a silent Emmy. You will. I will be like, I gotta go. That's how I am in person. If I don't know you, I'm not going to be telling you. I'm not going to share anything. I will just silently keep my thoughts to myself. I came across a person who they don't know any of the work that I do. They began talking about this haunted house and how an entity had attacked the kid that was there, a very young child too, threw him across the room, and I was just like, oh. And I did not tell them about the Emmy Evolving channel. I was just like, and my husband kept looking at me like, are you going to tell him? No, no, I'm not. No, I don't know who they are. They're very friendly, but I don't know who they are. I don't need none of that. I don't, right? So it's about letting yourself clear out what's not necessary, but also recognizing who you are and where you are within yourself right now. You're not trying to be someone else. You're confused, but you're not defeated. You gotta keep your chin up. Defiance. Look your fear in the eyes and be defiant. Chin up, buttercup. For many of us, we think we're not grounded and we think that's the reason why we're not progressing. No, has nothing to do with being grounded or not. Has everything to do with you giving yourself permission to continue to progress. I struggle very, very deeply with grounding myself in the traditional sense that's spread through spiritual communities of how to ground yourself. Um, and it's this thing of, no, I continue to progress because I give myself permission to progress, even though I'm not grounded. I got scared of what the lady was saying. No, I got pissed off. I got pissed off. I was like, I will F the up touching little kids. Yeah, no, I got really angry. But maybe yeah. Maybe yeah. Maybe yes, I did get scared, but not of the being. I think I got scared of allowing myself to feel that and to be witnessed by the person because they don't know the work that I do, right? So I think maybe yeah, I didn't realize that. There might have been hints of fear that this person would realize the work that I do. So, yeah, maybe. Maybe. I felt pissed off for sure. For sure. So, you don't need to be protected from the very processes that are going to encourage you to grow. You don't need to be protected from that. You need to be present, not protected. You have all the protection you need already existing within you. Ooh, you just have to get to a higher perspective, right? And for some of us, the patience, it's not patience. For some of us, we intellectualize that we need to be patient, but in reality, we're just avoiding whatever it is that we actually need to do. Got to be careful. I'm telling you, most of you guys are super ridiculously smart. Ooh, okay. You don't want to see, right? No, I get scared. He's like, I was just teasing you. You ain't scared. No, I do get scared, but I continue to push through. That's how I've always been. That's how my life conditioned me to be. I do still feel fear, depending on what it is. It's not typically fear of the things that most other people would be afraid of. Like my husband said to me one year, he's like, you don't make sense. And I was like, he said I didn't make sense because I was freaking out over a spider. Yo, it's the crunchy kind. It's a crunchy kind. For all I know, that's like a brown recluse. It's a crunchy kind. Hell yeah, I'm scared of a spider. Hell yeah. And then so he's like, I don't understand you. You're scared of a spider, but you look a demon in the face and be like, F you, I'm gonna F you up. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. I'm not scared of a 6'6" man threatening me. We gonna fight. Spider? Hell yes, I'm afraid. I will yell for him. I don't care what he's doing. I'm not going to leave the room. I have to keep eyes on it at all times because it could go somewhere else. And if it goes somewhere else, if you cannot provide me the dead body of the spider that you assassinated on my behalf, for all I know, they're going to go out and tell the rest of their spider family to come infest the house. I cannot be in that room anymore. I'm not even joking. If I task you to kill a spider for me and you do not show me the lifeless carcass, I will assume you've lied and the spider escaped. I'm freaking afraid. I'm not even afraid to admit that I'm afraid. So reflect in reverse. right? You don't want to see your reflection in other people. So instead of taking accountability for, the ways in which, well, okay, that's not a good way to phrase it. Well, actually, yeah, it is a good way. Instead of taking accountability for the ways in which your triggers were left out for people to be pressing buttons, you know, you got to take accountability for that. Sometimes people will trigger you because they are an external projection of who you are right now or who you used to be and didn't like. Right? Right. Um oh my God. I draw the line. No. 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 Is that in the Philippines? Oh my God. I was bit by a roach when I was a toddler in the Philippines. I still have the scar on my leg. No. No, and the scar grew with me. No, some roaches bite. No, that's exactly, make it 1,000. I'm good. Make it 1,000,000. I take them all out. Roach, I'm good. I will not even come home. I'm I'm good. Hell no. 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 That like, oh, that is too much. I can't. Some roaches bite, village baby. I'm not even joking. We went to, so I told you guys my husband's from Hawaii, right? So we went to Hawaii. He took me for the first time years ago for Christmas because his mom was in Hawaii and she was able to get us like super duper cheap tickets for Christmas. Meli Kaliki Maka. Anyways, so his aunt has this amazing property that's on the hill, and the backyard overlooks Pearl Harbor, the bay. And it was beautiful. So we're all outside. And then my kid was outside. It's just a lovely family thing. And he turned around and I saw a big roach on his back. You best believe I shoved that kid and took off running in the opposite direction. Uh-huh. Yeah, I shoved him. And I took off running in the opposite direction. And my husband's family was like, "You just left your kid?" Hell yeah! Hell yeah, I did! Did you guys kill it? And they're like, "It's just a roach." Exactly. That's why I shoved him and ran. Listen, listen. No. I did. I shoved the child. I mean, there were other adults there. I didn't leave him in the wilderness. Oh my God. I have to give my oldest more love. That's the second time I left him. The first time he was like, I don't know, 8 months old. And then we went to the library and there was this little like pond where there's a lot of ducks. And I was like, oh, we'll have a little, like, me and him snack time. He'll be able to see the ducks. And as soon as we sat down, he was in a stroller. As soon as we sat down, the ducks came. And then there was this mean goose that jumped on the table and hissed at my face for his snacks. And I took off running and it chased me. It chased me. And I remember when I was a kid, we went to this lake for our for our school field trip. And they let all the teachers let us know, do not mess with the geese. Their wing is strong enough to smack you and break your arm. So I took off running. And then I realized, oh my God, I left the baby. Oh my God. And after that, once I realized I left my baby, because it was just me and him, I just totally in my head, I will F y'all effers up. I will kick you. You can break my arm. You can't break my leg. I will kick you. I will fight you. I will choke you in the long ass neck. And then I got my baby. I got my baby, and we took off running in the stroller. He's like, I'm so sorry, baby. I'm so sorry. He was fine. He wasn't scared. He was just like, there's a lot of birds. Yeah, I had to tell my husband. I was like damn near in tears. Like, babe, the ducks came. Ooh, swans are highly aggressive. I don't like them. Anyways, paradox. You're living in a paradox because of the fact that you need to speak your truth while also connected to your heart. And that's something that's dang near impossible to do, right? It's almost like you speak a truth that's disconnected from the heart, because what you communicate from the heart is often very difficult for other people to receive. I don't know why. That depth of truth is something that's very, very intense, very, very intense. And most people they don't have it in them um, to readily receive that. Someone commented something on one of my posts recently, and she's like, I swear, Emmy, you're the only person who can tell me like the difficult truths that I need to hear without instantly triggering me to become defensive. Right? That's a lot of growth that has to happen in order for someone to reach that space of like, they know that it's not being said out of malice or to degrade you or to distort your perception of yourself, but it's just this like, this is the clarity that I have when I view you, and you're still worthy, you're still lovable, you're still valuable, but these are the things that are probably causing you a lot of struggle. And if you don't want to struggle, you fix those things. Right? So that's the paradox of the human existence. It's like the things we need to hear, we struggle to hear. You have to dare to allow yourself to dream, and then take those dreams and allow them to come to fruition. You are confused, but you are not defeated. There's a huge difference between the two. Just because you're confused of the way to move forward does not mean all hope is lost, right? You don't quite grasp the truth of what you can accomplish when you choose to. Yo, Middle Earth was saved by two hobbits. They overcame all sorts of adversity. It's true. Middle Earth was saved by Frodo Baggins and Samwise Gamgee. Two hobbits. And hobbits are notorious for being jovial. Jovial and snacky, right? Really liking snacks, not being necessarily physically fit, definitely not being combative and, competent in warfare. Imagine what you could do. I self identify as a hobbit, their biggest one. I can do a lot. If Frodo could do it, I could too. It's true. It's true. It's very, very true. Right? And then there's times where, I'm facing like a really dark circumstance or dark being. And I think to myself, if old ass Gandalf could fight a Balrog in mid fall and smite his mighty foe and return as Gandalf the White, I can too. I'm much younger than Gandalf. Not talking about anything about age. I'm just specifically talking about Gandalf, right? Because I think he was like a couple 100 years old already, right? He's all like stiff and crusty as Gandalf the Grey. And then he fought a Balrog and he came back crisp, like he finally found bleach, cleaned his clothes, straightened his hair. You know what I'm saying? I could do it too. I don't need bleach and I don't need to straighten my hair, but I could do it too. If Gandalf can take it like that, I'm saying I can too. I can. So can you. The only thing that limited um the only thing that limited you in whatever it was you were trying to accomplish was your belief in your ability to succeed. That's the only thing. That's the only thing. So one time I was telling a then friend that I was able to leg press 505 pounds. And for days, he's like, I don't believe it. You're too small. I don't believe you could do that. Well, I already did. Ha. Now, had I told him that was my goal, and then I heard him for several days telling me that he doesn't believe I can do it, I probably would lose belief in myself. Case in fact, somewhere along that time, we bought a pit bike. You know those little pocket-sized motorcycles? They're perfectly my size. Not even joking. They fit me perfect. So we had a pit bike, and there was someone who is very mechanically inclined, and he calibrated all of the bike stuff for us, and he rode it for us. And he was like, be careful when you switch from first to second gear because it tries to pop up and do a wheelie. And I was like, oh, I don't balance very well. And then my husband tried it to make sure that it's safe for me to try it. And it did that to him right when he first tried. As soon as he let go of the clutch, it popped up. Luckily, he didn't fall and have it smash him. And then he was able to ride it perfectly fine, and he had fun. And then it was my turn, and he spent about 15 minutes like, are you sure you want to do this? I don't think it's a good idea. Are you sure? Man, you're gonna hurt yourself. Oh man, and 15 minutes of listening to that, I was like, I don't even want to do it anymore. And he goes, no, you can do it, you can do it. Mofo, you just convinced me that I can't, that I'm gonna get hurt. I don't want to ride it anymore. You see what I'm saying? And he probably was right because we're on gravel. We were actually on gravel. And whatever's not gravel is like the stickiest mud because we lived at the farm. And so, yeah, no, he probably was right. But because he kept saying that, I didn't even want to try. That messed with my head about what I can and cannot do. So, what's that tell you? What's that tell you? Whoever you allow to live in your head will have the power to rule over you. Whoever's words you take in as truth will be the very shackles that you wear as bracelets. Yeah. So be careful. Yeah, I'm lucky. I have a husband who, for the most part, he's just trying to keep me safe, right? Well, I shouldn't say for the most part. That makes it sound like there's times where he tries to be domineering. He's so not. He's just trying to keep me safe. He knows, I can't even ride a Razor scooter. It took me a while to learn to balance on a Razor scooter. I can't ride a skateboard. I can't snowboard. I can't do skis because I don't have the balance. Pretty sure that pit bike would have ended badly. Yeah, pretty sure. So, was there anything malicious in that? No. Sometimes there are people who are in your life who serve as the voice of reason, right? They serve as the voice of reason. And you have to trust yourself to know the difference between someone who's just projecting their insecurities and limitations on you versus someone who's genuinely concerned, who knows you so well and they are genuinely concerned. Right. And there's been times where he's disagreed with the things that, I have all these cockamamie ideas all the time. I do. It's not uncommon. um, you know, and he'll have a differing opinion. And in those moments, I don't feel like I need to take in his perception as something I need to do or something I need to limit myself from. Right. I mean, it's healthy to have people speak their perceptions to you. What's not healthy is to blindly accept anyone's opinions. Just because you're confused, just because you don't know what direction to head to, does not mean you need to give someone else complete control over you, especially someone who's toxic and wants to control you, right? Especially that. So, power in reverse, you have to stop giving your power away. That's the feeling for this card. You have to stop giving your power away, because when you stop giving your power away, you return back into your natural space of sovereignty. Right now, you're not in your natural state. Right now, the reason you're confused is because you're trying to be more of what someone else is telling you you should be. That's not who you are. Did you know it takes no effort to be who you are? None at all. It takes no effort. And if you have to try, then that's not who you are. So why are you trying? If you're trying to heal, that's one thing. That's not going to come easy because you're at this moment, you're not a healed person, right? So that's not going to come easy. It's going to take effort. You're worth the effort. But if you're trying to be more like someone else, because you see that what other people are more drawn to whoever, yeah, I don't know that that's going to work out very well. I don't know that that's going to lead to your happiness. My cousin, who I'm very close to, we grew up together. We're like siblings, and some of you, I brought her on live streams a couple times before when I was in California. Um, I mean, she's totally like social, very personable. Just, she gets along with pretty much everyone. She knows how to handle all types of different social circumstance. And I remember being much younger and thinking like I should be more like her. So that way I won't be so awkward and people won't feel so uncomfortable around me. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. But see, here's the thing. I just needed time to ripen and blossom. And now, if I need to, I can. I can be very social. It depends. It depends. And it will come off naturally. It will come out of me naturally. It's not going to be forced, but it has to be my choice. It has to be my choice. And the moment I begin to feel like it's being forced out of me, I begin to be very, very awkward. Right. And that's not a bad thing. That's who I am. Part of the unconditional love that we need to begin developing for ourselves is about recognizing every aspect of you as a valid aspect, not just the desirable, funny, social parts of you are valid. No, every single part of you is valid. Every single part of you. And it's about allowing yourself to be who you are and owning that. Allow yourself to share wisdom, what you've experienced, how it's helped you to, come to terms with more of who you are, what you're here to do, your different gifts, your different capabilities, and recognizing the ways in which the destruction also serves you. For some, this destruction is a destruction of connections that are very toxic. For others, this is the destruction of your perceived limitations. For others, it's, something else. I don't know what. It's very much unique to you. You have to get to know yourself so you know which type is coming forward, right? All right. So, yeah, for many of us, we just don't feel strong enough, right? We don't feel strong enough, and we feel like, if we allow ourselves to be as present as we need to be in whatever circumstance life is bringing to us, um, it just becomes this thing of, kind of giving up on yourself before you fail and get the confirmation that you're not enough. That's called perfectionism. That's called perfectionism. I struggle with that. And I wouldn't be surprised if many of you, most of you, struggle with perfectionism, where unless you can guarantee that you will excel beyond other people's expectations of you, you don't even want to try. You know, you got to let go of that. You got to try. You got to allow yourself to do things differently if you want a different outcome, if you want a different life, because those limitations that keep you from trying, they've kept you locked in the same spaces that now you're confused existing in. So if you want a different outcome, you have to try a different thing, right? You have to let go, but you don't want to let go because of the fear. That fear is also blocking you from receiving the lessons from your celestial teacher, right? If you're not going to learn, you're not going to progress. And if you're not going to progress, that means you're going to stay in the same situation that refuses to allow you to learn. It's a vicious cycle. You have to find the courage to step out of that in some way, shape, or form without any guarantees being provided you before you agree to step out. There was no guarantee of what would happen if I switched from Facebook to YouTube. There was no guarantee. It was a massive risk, massive leap of faith, because guess what? My entire business is a social media business. It requires me being accessible through social media platforms. And I was only on one platform. Leaving that, and I'm the sole breadwinner of my family at this point, is a massive leap of faith. It took tremendous amounts of courage to do that, to make that decision. There was no guarantee. You know where I got my courage from? I got it from my frustration and rage about people, due to people, cyberbullying me for no reason. I didn't leave because of cyberbullying. The cyberbullying was the impetus that I needed to finally listen to what soul was telling me since 2016. Took me 3 years to finally be like, all right, fine, soul. I'll go to effing YouTube. Fine. And you know what happened? I found all of you. I found all of you. And when all of you arrived, you created such a safe space, a sanctuary for my heart, my soul, to be able to begin healing and move past my distrust of people. You still have to earn my trust, but I no longer identify as a person who has trust issues. I absolutely trust my soul to bring people and take people away as is appropriate for my learning, for my needs. That's why if someone walks away from me, I don't feel like, oh my God, I can't believe you abandoned me. I'm always like, thank you for letting me be a part of your sovereign decision to walk a different path. That's a huge deal for me. That you allowed me to be part of your life for however long I was, and that you've finally grown beyond whatever kept you in the same space. I don't get offended by it. I don't. I mean, how much healing have all of you been able to gift me with for me to get to that point? Someone who struggles with rejection issues, who struggles with abandonment issues, right? Those are still present, but they're no longer issues. They're parts of my history, but they're no longer me. Get to a point where you can say that about the very thing that keeps you confined, that keeps you hidden away behind thick walls made of fear. Our community does that for people. This space does that for people, but only if you have the courage to make your presence known, to begin connecting with others. We don't all have to be BFFs, but I feel strongly that our community is a community of very beautiful souls who have the capacity to hold space even if we don't agree. It's a very beautiful thing. We have the capacity to hold such a stillness within this space that anyone who enters here confused will realize they are not defeated and that they are supported, perpetually supported by creation itself. Communication. I just said it. You have to communicate. You have to make your presence known. You have to allow yourself to be witnessed so that others can serve as the mirror. And sometimes what we need is to see others like, oh, boo, don't worry. I went through that too, and it was hard, but I got through it. You'll get through it as well. Just knowing you're not alone in the circumstance that you're going through is so powerful. So powerful, right? Balance. Allowing yourself to return back to a space of balance, knowing that you've existed in shadow, you've existed in light, neither were the perfect fit. So now you're centered. Where you could tap into some light, tap into some shadow, do a little bit of a spiritual lambada with yourself. It's a forbidden dance. Centeredness is actually the forbidden dance. A lot of spiritual teachings that people widely spread focuses on balancing. That's a waste of your energy. It's a waste of your time, because if your focus is balanced, you will forever have to use up your precious energy on trying to balance. However, if your focus is centeredness, once you find that place of center, by virtue of your centered space, you will naturally have balance with no effort. Think of what it took for you to learn how to ride a bike. You kept balancing. It took a lot of like, ooh, 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 wiggles, 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 right? It's very taxing, very stressful. But when you learn how to sit centered on a bike, you naturally have balance. It don't matter what kind of bike you're riding. You never forget that. You naturally will have the balance. That's what I'm talking about. Centeredness. The process of learning how to ride a bike is the process of learning where your point of center is, where your center of gravity is. Once you learn that, you can't unlearn it. Yes, it takes a tremendous investment of your energy and your time, more so than it does to balance. But I promise you, it's an investment that's well worth it. Well worth it. So, card number 35, walk your truth. You haven't been walking your truth. How are people going to see you for who you are if you don't let them see that? It's a uncomfortable space, but it's worth it. When you exist in a very authentic manner, you will draw to you the people who are also authentic. You'll also draw inauthentic people, but after a period of time, it's too much effort to continue the game with you, and they just go away. It ends up fizzling, they go away. And then you can, focus more of your time and attention on the people who are authentic. Your journey is sacred. There's no other things that need to be said. Your journey is sacred, regardless of how you feel about it at this time. Your emotions, they're probably all over the place, being whipped back and forth. And that's because of your struggles with embracing your self-worth. Okay? You're in the process of it. It's not upside down. You're not rejecting your worth, but you're struggling with embracing what it is. As you embrace it, you'll naturally begin to move forward. Okay? You'll naturally begin to move forward and things will start to mellow out. And then you'll be like, oh my gosh, Emmy was so right. See? Self-acceptance in reverse. You're not accepting yourself. Michael's calling me out. So there are two messages for this card. The time of ripeness has arrived. So part of what this is saying is self-acceptance in reverse. Part of the reason we can't accept our twin ray, twin flame, is because we don't accept ourselves, right? So part of what I was going through was that highly toxic people were trying to force me to identify as their toxic twin. And now, I have no problem with accepting myself and accepting my twin ray, because my nasty stalker has finally begun to refuse to try and force me to identify as their twin, them being Jesus and me being Mary Magdalene. Their story has now changed. So now, thank God, I will publicly say, without any more concern of disgusting people thinking that I'm talking about them, I have no problem with my twin ray at all. None. None at all. It's copacetic. It's all good. It's perfectly fine. I've worked on my perception of myself tremendously over the past how many years. And if that individual is truly a mirror of me, I'd assume they're a really good person. I don't know who they are. I don't know the human very well, I didn't know them very long. We didn't interact very long. I know the soul deeply. Absolutely. The soul I know very, very well, very deeply. The human, not so much, right? And because all of these, I'll just say it, these crazy mofos over the years, I'm like, you're my twin, I own you. Like, calm down. I don't even like you. They really just, I was like, I'm good off all of that. Like, I'm good, but my journey has been a very intense one. When I say intense, one person who is trying to force me to identify, well, they're very convinced, let's put it that way. They are very convinced that I am their twin flame and that I'm just avoiding them. They actually went to my brother's house and they were inside the house and waiting until 3 a.m. For what? For me to come home? Like, yo, that's excessive. That is like, that's disgusting. And then another person, the stalker, you guys seen what that's about. Now that person became so obsessed with this concept that I'm their twin and I belong to them. They're over here threatening to kill everybody. Yeah, people, it's crazy. But the one person that actually is my twin ray, we haven't even interacted at all because they're not crazy because I'm not crazy. They're not disrespectful because I'm not disrespectful. So at this point, as I've gone through the journey of accepting more of myself, who I actually am, discarding the irrational fears of me being a bad person, me being this, me being that, nothing that I actually am, discarding all of that, I have no problem with my twin ray. None. People have thought over the years that I have this hatred towards a human being. No, no. Remember, I've told you guys, it took my BFF telling me that just because one person does wrong to you does not mean you now need to create this blanket story that everyone's going to do this to you. Right? And I've been learning that more and more deeply every day. So it's about the healing, the twin ray healing. And me saying these things has nothing to do with like, oh, now Emmy is ready to like be in a romantic sexual relationship with another man. Calm down. For real, calm down. Like, y'all, you have no idea how beefy my husband is. We're kind of at a point where I think my kids are sick and tired of their parents. Because I'm consistently on my husband's chest like, it's big, right? Woo, let me feel your arms. Hey, I have no interest in any of that outside of my husband. But that doesn't mean that, I'm still in this space of an extremely distorted perception of the entire, like a blanket statement of twin stuff is toxic stuff. And yeah, it's toxic when people make it toxic. I'm not a toxic person. And if twins are supposed to be mirrors of each other, and all the twin flames that I've come across are not toxic people, they're very good people. Very, very good people. So then I have to have this assumption at this point the twin ray would also be a very good person, because that would be the utmost elevation of my external reflection. This is about the process you go through, ridding yourself of the confusion that causes you to feel defeated. This is the process of you really, really stepping into places that are uncomfortable, right? To date, there are only two who are so mother effing crazy that they would try and find where I am and try and force a physical in-person interaction. We've already determined you two are mother effing crazy. I am no type of twin. I am not a reflection of that caca. So now that we've established that, I can return back to a space of neutrality when it comes to the twin topic. It's not a big deal. I had to go through quite a few years of trying to heal that because there was so much distortion pressure injected due to other people's assumptions and all of these things that they tried to project. We can go back to neutral. The twin topic is no longer an off-limit topic. It's not something that we have to burn down. There are some things that need to be cleansed by fire and some things we would just prefer to burn. Ooh. If you don't want to feel the sense of destruction, you need to begin learning the difference between what needs to be cleansed by fire and what you simply want to burn. There's a difference, huge difference. You're not going to be redirected. You're going to be encouraged by your soul to hyperfixate on whatever it is, to become very hyperfixated on that so that you can reach higher levels of understanding of that. Invoke the Oraphim. Ooh. Ooh. That message ties into stuff that I can't talk about on this channel because I'm going to be behaving myself already. I'm going to behave myself um, because it's time. It's time for me to exit out of these different behavioral patterns. I can talk about this in tomorrow's private exclusive chat for all of my Soul Sanctuary folks. We can talk about this. Okay. Um, so just for those who are in the Soul Sanctuary.love, remind me these two cards: Invoke the Oraphim and Twin Ray Healing. Okay. These two cards specifically. Okay. So you're not going to be redirected. You're not going to be forced to, you're not going to be allowed to climb over it. You're not going to overcome it. You have to allow yourself to truly, genuinely face it. Thank you, Lindsay. Go to the soulsanctuary.love if you want to sign up and be part of those exclusive chats. Okay. So your soul is no longer giving you a free pass. It's just not. That was a lot. Oof. All right. So abundance sigil. Your abundance is going to ramp up. It's going to definitely ramp up, and it's going to become something that is very tangible for you. You have to go through the process that we've been talking about through this whole live stream. If not, it's not going to be tangible. It's still going to seem like it's a pipe dream. It's going to seem like you're just having some daydream, fantasy, whatever, and that it's not rooted in reality. The difference between a dream and a goal is the amount of effort you place into making that dream a reality. Lindsay, if you could write that down. The difference between a dream and a goal is how much effort you are willing to place into making that dream a reality. Right? Right? How would you guys feel about a book being published with all of these very potent quotes from live streams? Would that feel like kind of like I don't know, a manual of how to overcome your fear? A manual, a treasure map of how to find your worth? Ooh. Ooh, that's a good one. A treasure map of how to find your worth. Because your worth is your treasure. Your worth is your treasure. One time I was in Moab and I was in a crystal shop and I found a little, it's about this big, a little Herkimer diamond specimen. It's a Herkimer diamond, right? I believe they were selling it for like $6 or something like that. Some really low price. And I looked at it and I was like, oh, that's coming home with me. It was a twin Herkimer diamond, too, growing side by side, and they were connected. You understand the metaphysical properties of two that are connected? That's a rare find. But because the people had no idea, they sold it for like $6. I had someone, because I posted the picture, like, oh, my new babies. I had someone offer me several hundred for that, to purchase it, privately purchase my twin Herkimer diamond with rainbows in it. No, I only got it for $6. They were offering several hundred. Several hundred. No, because I might not ever find another one again. So that stays with me. I gave it to Pedro. I think it's inside his house. Yeah. Rocket, do you know the value, right? Of a fully formed twin Herky. They were both fully formed, and it's like they were holding hands. They're just holding hands, one gently nestled over the other. But they're solid. They grew together. Yeah. Probably never going to find another specimen like that. I still have it. Sometimes the profit, the tangible profit, is actually a spiritual loss. I will never accept tangible profit over spiritual treasure. There are certain things that you just don't let go of. That includes certain people, people who are a treasure unto my heart, people who increase my understanding of myself, my purpose, who increase my awareness of where I'm at within my journey, within my healing. And it's not because they call me out on stuff, it's because they're able to speak to me in a way that I can take in to further cultivate my understanding of myself and what process I'm in. Right? There's only, well, outside of my children, there's only a handful of people that I would fight to keep in my life. Only a handful. Where it's like, I don't give a dang what kind of war needs to be waged. I am going to war for you. You know? And I just told my husband the other day, and it took me 24 years. I told him, I'll fight someone for you. And he's like, what is going on with you? And I was like, it only took you 24 years to get to that status. Yeah, no, because I'm totally the type of person who, like, if you want to go, go. Whatever makes you happy, just go. It's okay. There's billions of people in this world. If I'm not the right place for you, find what is. It's okay, literally. But I've come to understand that some people, like my twin Herkies, are a treasure that I will probably never come across again. And so those people who take away from my confusion and add to my sense of empoweredness, my sense of internal peace, no, I will fight to hold on for as long as you want me to. But the moment you choose to let me know that you no longer want me around, I will respect that as well. Yep. Because I'm not about dominating others, especially the ones that I treasure, right? This is about reaching new dimensions. With each level that you reach, each new level that you reach, you tap into higher degrees of compassion and self-awareness. That is the journey of soul. It was never to reach a specific level of awareness just so you could say you got there, right? That's an emptiness. That's a fool's errand. That is an ego-based task. You have to do what sets your soul on fire. For some of us, it's about no longer acknowledging the soul journey. Journeys have a starting point and an end point. When your journey is so focused on reaching the end point, you're no longer on a journey. You're just completing a task, a monotonous task. The soul journey is about being fully present in every moment, every circumstance, every environment, really taking in the energies of what you are learning, what is causing you to further ripen your understanding. It's like this thing that happened when I was on a trip, very rare trip. This is the first time I ever left my children outside of the 24 to 48 hours that I have to be confined in the hospital after giving birth. I never leave my kids like that. I don't go on vacations and things. No, I'm always with them. And it was this thing of, for the first time in their entire life, I was called to go somewhere without them. I had to go to Peru. Why? I don't know, but I had to go. I had to. I had to go. I had to be at Machu Picchu. I don't know why, but I had to. And that soul journey became such a thing where from point A to point B, that's what I was focused on. Getting from point A to point B and then back to point A. And for a portion, I wasn't fully present because it was like, okay, now we need to do this. Now we need to do that. It was only, I believe, after we had finished with Machu Picchu that, because I had a travel buddy, that I began to understand the gravity of why I was there. Separately, yet simultaneously, myself and my travel buddy both began to retrieve memories of being there, of living there. We didn't share any of these things with each other until we had the actual conversation midway through our trip. We both remember being siblings. We remember the same details, but from different perspectives. Her from that life, me from that life. Seeing the perspective of our dynamic. That's why I was called there. To clear the slate for that karmic ledger board. To know we were both heavily manipulated in that life, that there is intense love between us, that we are friends, that it's no big deal. We've worked past it. We can be re-immersed in the same environment that caused us to squabble so deeply we both were executed. And that it's okay. There are no hard feelings. And that our journeys can be separate or they can be together. Both are valid. And whatever we choose, that's what it should be. And that there's no loss of love in any way, shape, or form. That's why I went to Peru. To take that karmic load off my shoulders. So that she could take that karmic load off her shoulders. And we could continue forward in whatever way we're meant to. And it's okay. Yes, our paths diverged a couple years later. There's no loss of love on my end. And I'd like to hope that there's no loss of love on her end. Our paths just diverged. And that's okay. That's okay. I'm no longer confused about the need to be fully present in whatever I go through. And I hope that with this reading, you become very, very clear on what the heart of the message actually is. To be present, is to be a gift unto yourself, to gift your heart and your awareness the understanding that it craves. You can get through a lot in life, but getting through it and learning from it are two different things. Don't just get through things. If your goal is to simply get through something, you are still in survival mode. If your goal is to learn as much as you are intended to learn by your soul for any given circumstance that you experience, you will be giving yourself a gift that no one else can give you. Final card for the day. Card number 3, the dissolving light. I died as mineral and became a plant. I died as plant and rose to animal. I died as animal and I became human. Why should I fear anything? When was I ever less by dying? And this could be pointing towards a spiritual death, a shamanic death, a death of ego, a coming to an end of this domination over your life by only one singular aspect of you. You're a multi-dimensional being. You are multifaceted. It's time to switch that out. Let another aspect of you kind of take the lead. If the current aspect of you is one that won't allow you to progress forward, dare to take my hand and become set alight with holy fire, my cherished one. Step forward with me. Let us burn together, dissembled in the light that cannot be extinguished. This is the light that burns with such incandescent truth that no falsehood can withstand its audacious vibrancy. Come with me now to the light. Together we shall melt into truth. There is a light so intense, so powerful, that nothing other than itself, its own truth, can exist in its presence. It is a sacred seed, the star of your being lit up from within. It is a light that never goes out. It is a light that's so powerful, it is beyond duality of light and dark, cannot ever be extinguished or diminished, and quite simply, beyond all logic, just is. Certainly, no lie or deception, no boundary or defense can remain intact in its presence. The blazing divinity of this light sears through any pretense, annihilates illusions, and takes us into stark experience of divine truth. It is gentleness, and yet it cannot be overcome. It is enduring power, and yet it is tender. Though you seek the divine and even know it is love, you also know that it is fierce, wild, inexplicable, and demanding beyond all measure. It wants you completely, utterly, without condition. There will be times in your life, such as now, when there is something not worthy of you that must be released. This is a falsehood, a lie, or deception of some sort that you have come to believe about yourself, your life, or perhaps even another. You may know what that deception is, or it may be about to be unveiled. It is not a cause for fear or concern, but for celebration. An illusion has or soon will be released, and you shall become freer, free in a way that only truth can provide. And in that freedom, you will find the opportunity to rehabilitate your wounds, rehabilitate your fractured perception. This oracle comes to you as a sign of that which is to come, and soon. The beloved divine presence is calling to you, igniting within your deepest being so that it may have its way with you. The divine wishes to live through you and into the world, reaching into the hearts of many and igniting those hearts into greater life. It is a clever and insatiable lover. It will stop at nothing until the entire human race is restored to the wild divine freedom of ecstatic divine reunion, completely and utterly reignited in love. And so the great lover, the divine, calls for you to enter into the white hot field of its passionate presence. There will be a sizzle and a burn. It cannot be otherwise. In the height of summer, you can cast aside the layers of clothing you require in the winter. This is natural. You do not think twice about it. As you approach the radiant sun of divinity, your emotional and psychological layers are to be shed too, for they are too heavy for the heat of the great spiritual sun. What cannot stand the heavenly heat is to be cast aside swiftly by conscious choice, or shall simply burn up, dissolving in the light and melting away. What is left shall be what is true. So here is your guidance, sweet lover of the great beloved. Give it up. The smallness, the conditions, the fears and doubts, the lack of reverence for yourself and for your life, the belief that somehow things are not okay or are not going to work out. Those are the things that need to be released. That is all a paltry attempt at truth. You are coming into a truth now that's far more worthy of you. A truth with a capital T, the big truth. Love, trust, surrender. This is about a sacred shedding without fear or holding back. Cast aside whatever would hold you back rather than free you to fly into your divine destiny. You are not to be the same from this moment on. That is the holy word, the word inscribed in living divine fire on your sacred heart. This oracle brings you guidance. Trust in your changing perspective and perceptions. Don't hold on to what you once believed or thought to be true. Allow yourself to be shown another version of events, another way of perceiving. Don't focus on what is not working in your current estimation of things, for that is nothing more than a passing opinion. You're being given an opportunity to see and know yourself, others, and particular life circumstances very differently. Embrace it. Don't don't resist what's being shown to you, for even if there are some struggles in adjusting your view at first, ultimately this will change in perception, or this change in perception will free you and bring you more deeply into wellspring of your own inner peace and happiness. This is about bringing you back home to yourself. And for some of you, the way home is through finding the home you found in another person. That is the start of your journey. Letting the people who are the treasures of your heart serve also as the map leading you back home. There are some connections that are important, that cannot be ignored, that cannot be pushed away, that cannot be passed off as some figment of your imagination. There are some connections that are like that. Do something with it. Do what? I don't know. Ask your soul. Do something with it. I think that's what's meant to happen, that you're supposed to do something with the connections that can lead you back home to yourself, the connections that can serve as a roadmap back to you, right? So please give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, please do subscribe, turn on that notification bell, join me when I'm live, and I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Bye, everyone.